In this video, we are going to be discussing calculating experimental and theoretical probability. So we're going to kind of talk about how to tell the difference between when it's experimental and when it's theoretical, talk about how to calculate those probabilities, but then we're going to also spend a little bit of time talking about finding the probability of an event not occurring. So when we talk about probability, when we talk about probability in the real world, any of our probabilities are always going to be, we can represent them in different ways, either as fractions, decimals, percents. They're all going to kind of end up being the same thing. We're all meaning the same thing. And so we'll just kind of alternate between how we represent them, kind of depending on what type of probability we're calculating. So knowing that they're all between 0 and 1, we kind of have, you can see we have this kind of number line here that kind of shows that. If an event has a probability, that's a 0 probability, so you calculate the probability and it's 0, that means that that event is an impossible event, okay? So that means that it's impossible of happening. So for example, if we have rolling a 7 on a 6-sided die, that's not going to happen because there's not a 7. So that's impossible, so it'd be what we call an impossible event. If you have a probability that is 0.5 or 1/2 or would also translate to 50%, this is what we call equally likely, meaning like whatever event you have is equally likely to happen. So for example, flipping a coin and getting tails is equally likely because it's as equally likely as landing a heads. Something that has a probability of 1 or would also translate to 100%, that is what we call a certain event, meaning that it's for sure going to happen every single time that event, or every time you're going to have that perform an experiment, that event will happen. So, for example, it says rolling a number less than 7 on a 6-sided die. That's always going to happen because every single number on a 6-sided die is less than 7. And then the probabilities we calculate will always kind of just fall along this scale, but it's always going to be between 0 and 1. So when we talk about theoretical and experimental probability, theoretical probability, the definition we have is that it compares the number of favorable outcomes to the total number of possible outcomes. So typically we express our theoretical probability as a percent, and we calculate it by using this formula right here we take the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. While experimental probability compares the number of ways an event can occur to the number of experiments. Typically, we calculate experimental probability as a ratio, and we're going to use it by calculating the number of times an event occurs over the total number of experiments. When we look at this and when we talk the difference between theoretical and experimental probability, what we're kind of looking at here is we're looking at theoretical probability is based off of what could happen if you were to perform the experiment. Okay, so you're looking at, I'm going to flip a coin or I'm going to roll a die, and I don't know, what's the probability of rolling a 6 or a 2 or an even number? While experimental probability means you perform an experiment a certain amount of times and you base your probability off of the results of that experiment. So while they're going to be calculated in similar ways, kind of where we get our data or where our data and the numbers are coming from are going to be different. So we're just going to spend some time working through some different examples of experimental and theoretical probability. So the example number 1 says a sack contains 8 red marbles, 10 pink marbles, and 4 blue marbles. What is the theoretical probability of pulling a pink marble? So notice we're talking about, I just have this general case, and I'm looking at what's the probability that I could end up with a pink marble. So the first thing I have to figure out is how many total marbles I have, and I'm just going to add all of my numbers together. I will end up with that my total number of marbles is 22. Then I have to look at I want to know how many pink marbles. So how many times can I pick it? 10. So then the total number of ways it could happen would be 10, since there are 10 pink marble. So this is going to become 10 divided by 22, which if I were to simplify that to a fraction, to a simplified fraction, would be 5 over 11. And if I wanted to write that as a percent, would be about 45.5% if we round. Okay, now example 2, it says you choose a marble out of a bag 50 times. It says of the 50 times, you get a red marble 28 times. What is the experimental probability of pulling out a red marble? So notice this time it's saying, okay, we did whatever experiment we were talking about in example 1 where we're trying to pick a bag out of a marble 50 times. And now we're talking about, okay, how many times could I get a red marble? So I know that I'm going to calculate this probability based off of the number of times it happened. So in this case, that would be 28 over the number of times the experiment was conducted, and that would be 50. So then I would write this, and I'm just going to simplify this fraction. And I'm going to get that my answer will be 14 over 25. So then our biggest job is just kind of have to decide, is it experimental, is it theoretical, and then go from there. All right, our next example says, if you roll one die, what is the probability of rolling an even number? So this example is going to be a theoretical probability because we don't know, we didn't perform the certain experiment any number of times. We're basically talking about, if I roll a die, what is the probability I'd land an even number? So I'm going to talk about the number of, I'm going to calculate this by knowing how many ways or what's the number of favorable outcomes. So in our case, that would be 3, because since there are 3 numbers, even numbers on the die, on a one die, out of the total number of outcomes, which would be 6. So simplifying my fraction, that would be 1/2. And if I were to write this as a percent, I know that that would be 50%. So the next one says, if you roll one die, what is the experimental probability of rolling an even number in 10 rolls? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video really quick to kind of perform this experiment by rolling a die 10 times, and then we'll use those results to help us calculate. So as we can see, I performed the experiment, rolled a die 10 times, and the outcomes I came up with were 5, 1, 6, 5, 6, 4, 2, 5, 3, and 1. So this is kind of where you can see the difference between experimental probability is that now we're going to calculate this probability based off the results of that experiments that I did. So the total number of trials I did was 10. So I'm going to look up, of the 10 trials, how many times did I actually land an even number? And that would be, in this case, I landed a 6. You can see I landed a 6, 6, a 4, and a 2. So that would be 4 times, which then I'm going to simplify that fraction to 2 over 5. And that would be my probability of rolling an even number in the 10 rolls. So you can kind of see the difference here when we talk about experimental and theoretical probability, and kind of saying that theoretical is based off of what could happen. Experimental probability is based off of, okay, I did the experiment, this is what happened. All right, again, so example 5, it says, say you have a spinner with colors red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. If you spin the spinner once, what is the probability you will spin green? So again, this is theoretical probability because we're basing it off of what could happen. And so here I have 5 spaces, and if I want to know what, and the favorable outcomes would be landing on a green, so there's only one favorable outcome out of 5 total outcomes possible, because that's how many possible outcomes you have. And then this would translate, so that's 1/5, which would translate to 20% as a percent. Okay. And so as example 6, it says using the same spinner and spinning it 10 times, what is the probability that you will spin green? So this is kind of similar to the last one. I'm going to pause the video, spin a spinner 10 times, and then see what happens. All right. As you can see, I've spun the spinner 10 times, and my results were I landed orange, orange, red, red, orange, red, orange, green, yellow, and red. So now I want to calculate based off of those 10 times, what's the probability you will spin green? So I want to look at how many times did it actually happen. Well, it only happened one time out of the 10 times I did the trial, which means my probability of landing on a green, my experimental probability of landing on a green would be 1/10. All right, and then it says, what is the probability of flipping a quarter and getting heads? This is your theoretical because you're talking about what could happen. Well, the favorable outcomes would obviously be landing on a heads, so that would be 1. So there's one favorable outcome out of the 2 possible outcomes that you have, so that's 1/2, which as a percent translates to 50%. And then it says, what is the theoretical probability of flipping a quarter 10 times and getting heads? So once again, I am going to pause the video, flip a coin 10 times, and come up with my outcomes for that experiment. Right, as you can see, I've performed the experiment 10 times by flipping a coin. I ended up with tails, heads, heads, tails, heads, and then 5 tails in a row. So we want to calculate the probability based off of these results of landing a head. So the number of times it happened was 3, and the number of times I performed the experiment was 10. So the probability based off of my experiment of landing at heads would be 3 out of 10. All right, so now we're going to look at example 9, which says you have 15 coins, 3 pennies, 5 nickels, 7 dimes. So we want to figure out first what's the probability of choosing a nickel. So this would end up being, I would know that there are 5 nickels out of the total 15. So this would be 5 over 15, which translates to about not about, but it is 1/3 because it simplifies to 1/3. And then 1 divided by 3 is about 33%. And then choosing a quarter, notice there were not any quarters listed, so this would be 0 out of 15. So that would be 0%, which would be one of those impossible events that we were talking about. Then we're talking about, okay, I want to know what's the probability of choosing a penny or a nickel. And so this I can just add the pennies and nickels together. So this would be 8 out of 15, which as a percent, 15 would be about 53% for the probability. Okay, then example 10, the first one says the soccer team has won 5 of their 6 last games. What is the experimental probability that they will win their next game? So we know the number of times it has happened is 5 out of the total number of times you have them, so that's 5 over 6. So the probability that they would win their next game would be 5/6. But now we want to look at the theoretical probability, which would be looking at how many possible outcomes. Well, the winning would be just one of the possible outcomes. Now, since there are technically actually 3 possible outcomes. You could win, you could lose, or you could tie, which is slightly different from my answer key because I just made that mistake forgetting about the possibility of tying on the answer key that's posted. So in this case, the theoretical probability would be 1/3, which would translate to about 33% if we're just talking theoretical probability. All right, now we're looking at calculating the probability of an event not occurring, which is just kind of what we call, so we want to look at the probability of not A being whatever our event represents. This is kind of sometimes what we call the conjugate event, the opposite event, kind of looking at this. It's really actually easy to find this because all you have to look at is hopefully you're given the information to find the probability of your event happening. And then to find the probability of that not happening, you just do 1 minus that probability. So, for example, it says you have binge-watched a TV show on Netflix 9 of the last 12 weekends. What is the probability that you will not binge-watch a TV show this weekend? So, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to calculate the probability that you will binge-watch that show. because that's kind of the information that we were given. Which I know, since it's happened 9 times out of 12, okay, that would be 9/12, which translates to about 3/4. Okay, so now we want to calculate what is the probability that this event that you will not binge watch. So the probability of you will not binge watch is 1 minus the probability that you would binge watch, which is what we just calculated. So this would be 1 minus 3/4, which means that the probability, once we subtract that we would not binge watch would be 1/4. Okay, then the last thing we'll talk about is calculating geometric probability. So geometric probability is the likelihood that you will hit a particular area of a figure. So kind of looking down here at this figure at the bottom right here, when we talk about calculating geometric probability, we're talking about, okay, what's the probability that I'm going to hit or land in that shaded area of that figure? So in order to calculate this, we're going to look at we're going to take the shaded area divided by the total area. So this is going to kind of involve a little bit of geometry, kind of remembering how to find area of certain shapes. So for example here, I want to find the geometric probability of the shaded area. So the first thing I need to figure out is, okay, I'm going to look at what is the total area. Well, since it's a rectangle, I know area is calculated by length times width. So my total area would be 5 times 4, which is 20. Okay, but I need the shaded area as well. So to find the shaded area, I'm going to have to take the total area minus the unshaded area. Which means I'm going to have to take 20 minus the unshaded area is this region right here. So that would be 3 times 2, which would be 20 minus 6, which ends up getting me that the shaded region is 14. So 14. So then my geometric probability would be 14 over 20, which simplifies to 7 over 10, which as a percent means my geometric probability would be 70%.